Chapter 51. A Story of a Certain Village 2, Side. Shibi, you are listening at Novel Full.audio. The day after Abel left the village, Shibi stepped into the forest after Giselle asked him to escort her. Hey, Giselle.chan. It's not a good idea to come this deep into the forest. I think you should go home and talk to someone else about it, but, I was absolutely sure that he's going to come back. Because after what I did, after what I felt. If something happened, I knew it would be irreversible. What would I do if anything happened to my brother? Giselle was pale and dismayed. According to Giselle's father, she had been like this all morning. Shibi had heard that Giselle had anticipated her brother's departure from home in advance, and to prevent him from it, it seems that she had rigged the autumn trolley that he would choose as his vehicle for the purpose. It is said that his brother, whose means of transportation was wrecked, should have planned to give up and come back. But a day has already passed and still didn't come back. Giselle seemed to think that something unforeseen had happened. From Shibi's point of view, he couldn't imagine a situation in which Abel couldn't come back. Even if the bandit group got involved, he would be able to easily turn the tables. In the unlikely event that the greater bear, the strongest demon in the forest around here, swarmed, I don't think they could do something to Abel. If anything, I was sure that if a catastrophe happened and the world sank, that man was the only one who would be still kicking. It's not like Abel.san's going to die if you kill him. What would Giselle.chan be worried about? If I set the trick wrong and the autumn trolley stops farther than it was supposed to, brother will not be able to come back. Because I was meddling with my half-assed knowledge, well, it could happen. Indeed, Abel was fatally lacking in strength. That was something Shibi understood. If something unforeseen happened to Abel, it was likely to be there. Shibi and Giselle continued to walk through the forest together. I wonder why did Abel.san leave the village? Shibi couldn't help but mutter when the conversation broke off. Quickly realizing that it was gibberish, Shibi covered his mouth with his hand. He probably shouldn't have said that next to Giselle of all people. It was like gouging a wound. From the timing, it's clear that Abel's departure from the settlement had something to do with his marriage to Giselle. Besides, Shibi had been told in the past by Abel that he had no intention of marrying his sister. And yet, when they started talking about the ceremony and all that, I said, that's not what you said, Abel.san. I've been crying to Guria's shoulder while sulking about Abel's disappearance. Somehow, there was less crowd, so I looked at it without deep thought to voice my doubts, but, he did it, that was the real motive. Well, my brother is a sensitive person. Perhaps he became depressed because he felt anxious about the changes in his life after marriage and the responsibilities of having a family. This phenomenon is commonly referred to as marriage blue. Although this is a marriage that both of them wanted, there are many cases where they suddenly feel the urge to run away just before the ceremony. Giselle said and then said, yes, it must be so. Otherwise, I can't explain it, she mumbled and repeated in a whisper. Shibi somehow thought, it's like she's telling it to herself, is what he thought, but he's not so tasteless to say it out loud. It's true, Abel.san, he's mentally and physically weak that when I say it, I really feel like a bad person. Once the mind and body are subtracted, there is nothing left to be human. Shibi suddenly wonders what would have happened to him if he didn't have a talent for magic. After walking some distance, Giselle takes out a map. There are faint claw marks on the edges of the map. In Giselle's estimation, they were definitely her brother's claw marks. Shibi wondered if there was any difference or anything different about the claw marks, but from Giselle's point of view, I'm sure there is. Perhaps Abel opened the page of the book, holding it down with his hand, and copied it, then dug his nails in. When brother is lost between right and left, he should choose the left. Let's go this way. But I'd like a guarantee. If only we could find a plant or will track somewhere that has not been trodden on for a while. As she said this, Giselle bent down to the ground and began to look for any landmarks. Her clothes were already stained with dirt and scratches on her body from branches and grass. She really doesn't have any moderation when it comes to her brother. At first, Shibi was worried about Abel, but while he was in high spirits thinking, I think this is a date, such illusions were quickly shattered. Shibi found a grass partly burnt at a little distance. Giselle, in here, perhaps Abel had made a bonfire. Shibi thought so and decided to come by. As he approached the burnt grass, Shibi stepped on something hard, in the grass. He picked it up and found that it was a charcoal dot-like wreckage. It seemed to me that he had burned this and hid it in the grass, as I associated with the remains of a fire. The wreckage, upon closer inspection, looked like an ordam. Sweep off the black coals. Could this be a piece of the tip of an arm? There was a slight coating of what looked like paint on it. For something Abel had carved, it seemed a bit poorly done. I've examined what my brother took out, and the ordam I carved when I was a child is missing. I'm sure he took it as a memento of me. My brother would never have hated me. Suddenly, she remembered what Giselle had said before she left the village. Somehow, Shibi had a bad feeling about it. I can't let Giselle find this. He sensed so. What's the matter, Shibi-san? That's the ordam trolley over there. Indeed, my brother stopped here. Maybe he's nearby. What? Yeah. Looking at Giselle's line of sight, it is indeed the ordam trolley. It's much more helpful than a fire trail or something. Thank goodness. Shibi let out a small sigh. Shibi-san, what's over there? It caught me off guard and I couldn't help but sound dumb. Shibi quickly spread his hands out and hid his path as quickly as he could. It was my imagination. There was nothing there. There is silence for about 10 seconds. As Giselle tries to peer in from the right, Shibi turns his upper body to the right. When Giselle tries to peer in from the left, Shibi turns his upper body to the left. Giselle tilts her head at Shibi's odd behavior but quickly runs up to the ordam trolley. I don't think the lie came through, but I'm sure she wanted to check out the ordam trolley more than that. Shibi wipes the sweat from his forehead. For now, the crisis has been avoided. But I can't let her find this. Shibi scraped up the large parts of ordam's wreckage and put it away in his pocket. Then so carefully he followed Giselle. Chapter 52. 5th episode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days had passed since the riding on the wagon. I was on top of the wagon, letting May carve ordam on the wagon. There's a split right there. No. When you put the knife around the corner, it's not held that way, like this, yes. Yes. Master Abel. Maya didn't look very handy, but she was keen, so she was improving fast. At first, she was bored or quickly lost focus, but ever since I cut off the garms, she's been like this. She was lifted up oddly as if she was really scared of Garm, so he hid his embarrassment and said, since I was little, it's thanks to the ordam carving. Maybe she really took it to heart when he said, most of the Marins can do it. Well, it's true that ordam carving is the foundation of magic improvement. I can finally see it. That's the city of Lamern. James called out to me and I shifted my gaze from Maya to the city. I could see the city surrounded by waterways. Beyond the city gates, the wagon stopped near a square with a fountain. In the plaza, bright white tiles were laid out underneath. That's very well maintained. It was quite a beautiful sight, with a row of stone buildings. There is no sign of trash being thrown away. I read in the book that it is a lawless street, but it seemed to have changed completely. James-san, we're going to split up. No, I had to run some errands too. I know you guys aren't familiar with the city, so I'd like to accompany you, but we're splitting up here. Of course, we are. James is traveling for the sole purpose of peddling. I don't think Maya and I can be of any help to him. I'm going to be in town for a while, so if I ever feel like I'm in trouble again, I'll give you a call. Thanks for your help, James.san. No, I've been saved too. If it hadn't been for Abel.san, the Garms would have eaten me to death. James quickly reaches out to me. I squeezed his hand back and we laughed at each other. This guy, his smile is kind of scary. It's not like I have anything to do with it. But, Maya still seemed confused. Maybe she was going to follow James's lead the whole time. Oh, yes. Maya will buy you all the wheat with this. Now you've got some free time. Maya said as if it was a good idea, and took out a sachet from his pocket. You're not sure if you have that kind of money, but you can see a goldwork collar and ring peeking out from inside the sack. I don't know the market price of such things, but I'm sure they cost about 100 million yen. Even though you're just a runaway. If my village had something like that, I would have traded for it. Is that some kind of savings that Maya's parents grabbed when she left the village? I think they're looking for it very carefully. There's no way James would take it, and he gets into the wagon with a wry smile. Finally, he said, well then. I'll see you later, and waved as he left. With a gulp, Maya kneels down on the spot. Hey, don't be so depressed. When I called out to her, Maya shook with a jolt and got up with a start. Abel.san isn't going to disappear, right? Look, Maya's autumn carving hasn't improved at all. She grabs my shoulders with a gulp and moves her face closer to mine. What? Oh, yeah. I don't have any acquaintances over here either, so that would help. Are you sure? That's right, is there anything you want? May I have the money? Here. Look, this, if we sell this somewhere. I thought she had grown up in a tough environment, but she's a bad girl. No, I don't want that kind of thing to affect our future relationship. I guess I'd better stick around for a while and see what happens. She's vulnerable to being tricked by a bad guy and taking all my money in an instant. An hour later. I was glued to one of the products at the Chimera's Tale store in the shopping arcade. Chimera's Tale focuses on products that can be used as alchemy materials and magic catalysts. Metal, which is the general main material for the core of a golem, and jewels that attract fire spirits when they are charged with magical power. The latter is probably used to raise the power of magic by attaching it to a staff or something. I want it. Of course, I want those too. But it's something else that really caught my attention. Wow, customer, you have a keen eye. I've had them for a long time, but I've never been able to find anyone who was interested in them. Especially those who would be the first to jump at it, you know. In fact, it's something that no cheap shop like ours would ever carry. A person who looks like the owner speaks to me. She was a blonde woman with a large pointed hat. She was dressed like a typical witch, except that the hat was a little too big and bushy. In my line of sight was a large log. It is surrounded by a thin blue light. It's probably a ward for storage. Right. It's not something you'd normally leave in a little shop on the edge of town like this. It looks like it's warded, but it's not perfect. Oh, it must have deteriorated. Couldn't they have spent more money to put up the warding? Well, that's about as far as you can go in this store. Do you have a problem with my shop? Ouch. Don't pull my ears off. I'm sorry. I just got excited. She said it was a cheap store like ours, she said it herself. No, I know it's not the same thing as being told by someone else and saying it yourself. Maya, too, moves her face closer to the product I'm looking at. What is this? Is it that good of a tree trunk? No, not a trunk. It's a branch of the world tree. I rub my ears and tell Maya. The world tree is a huge tree located in the innermost part of the great forest called the Devil's Forest. Due to the magical power of the world tree, I've heard that there are powerful magical beasts around the world tree. This is the first time I've seen a real one, but I'm pretty sure it's a branch of the world tree. I don't think there is any other tree in this world that has such a strong magical power. Where did you get this stuff from? About 5 years ago, a famous party from this city raided the demon forest. There were 4 of them who entered, and only one of them came back alive. It seems that one of them had a hallucination by a demonic beast on the way in, so he took out all his weapons and armor, and found a log naked and unarmed. He was walking through the shallow woods carrying it and was protected by another adventurer. He wanted to make some money right away, and he offered it to my store, which I knew, at a discount. What a pity. If only they hadn't been shown the hallucination, I'm sure they would have gotten other materials and things that have many more uses. I'm sure you've done it before. It is true that the branch of the world tree is not something that can be handled easily. If the person has no use for it, it's better to let go of it as soon as possible, even if it's a cheap price. In fact, if you consider that the owner of this shop has been leaving it for 5 years, it's clear that she can't have any more. Unless there's a place where they can more aggressively promote it to the rich, but I don't think they have the connections to do that. I'm sure I could get an amazing one if I create an order with it. I stared at the branch of the world tree. I'm sure he was looking at it with eyes that were quite covetous. The owner of the store was a bit taken aback. It's obvious that the value of the tree is deteriorating and that it will continue to decline in value even if you leave it in the store. The owner of the store wanted to sell them as soon as possible, but there was no way to sell them. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have a branch of the world tree at such a negotiable condition. If I let this one slip away, I'll never get it again. It's a shame I don't have any decent fortune right now. If I had some money, I wouldn't hesitate to negotiate. If I had the house, I would have sold it without a second thought. It's worth it, and if you use it properly, you can definitely get your money's worth. I had that confidence. As I bit my teeth, I got a thump on my shoulder. You want it so bad. Shall Maya buy it for you? No, but it's not a good idea to make a financial loan like that, and the branches of the world tree must be quite pricey. It's doubtful if the parent's savings that Maya has grabbed is enough. I can't take such a huge amount of money in the first place. No, it's not a loan. If Abel.san hadn't been there, the wagon would have been in danger. James.san said it too. No. But, I knew it would follow me later. Look, I've been told about the Ordum carving. I don't owe you anything at all. You don't owe me anything. Okay, so we're all rather equal now. So we're even now, yeah. No, don't be swayed. That's not possible. Hello. Is this enough? Well, I've been poking around in poor storage conditions, and even if I compromise, we can't afford to not sell this stuff either. The negotiations were coming to an end while I was fretting. Hey, wait. What is it? Maya looks back at me. Well, in the form of debt, please. I was weak at heart. Hearing my words, Maya turned to the shopkeeper. Then, since Abel.san says so too. The owner and Maya quickly negotiate with each other, as if to say that they were taking words. I hate myself for keeping quiet about it, which is a good thing. I can return it, right? You can return it, maybe. If you want, I can carve it and show it to someone who knows about magic, and I'm confident we can resell it. It'll be fine. Chapter 53. 6th episode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I left Chimera's Tale and walked alongside Maya through the shopping district. I was holding the branch of the world tree I had safely purchased with my arms full of it. Really, that's good. It seems like you were losing money for free, but they left you enough money to live on for a few days. On top of that, they converted the money into cash, so it saved me a lot of trouble. Maya holds up the bag of coins. The bag was put on by the owner as a service. Maya, I don't know much about this kind of thing, and if I had gotten it exchanged at another store, I would have been ripped off, you were lucky in many ways. That owner seemed to be a nice person, so it doesn't seem like there's anything like that. If she had been really nice a person, she would have stopped Maya from lending me money. That shopkeeper was happy to go on with her story. I'm not sure what to say since I was an accomplice also to it. The debt I had managed to get Maya to pay was a little over 2 million Gs. The G is gold, a common currency in this continent. I wanted to know how much it costs, so I asked the shopkeeper, and I found out that a piece of fruit costs around 100 G. It seems to me that it is safe to assume that 1 G equals 1 yen. In other words, it's a debt worth 2 million yen. Maya-san, hey, wait, why that-san? Doesn't it seem like the distance between us is wider than when we first met? Why are you looking away? It's not that Maya wanted you to use an honorific. I'm sorry, Maya. That's what money lending and borrowing are all about. After this, after enough questions and answers, it was safely decided that, as I thought, I'll drop the honorifics. I hope I can pay back the money soon. Tutu, I stagger a little. My fingers slipped and I quickly lifted the branch back up. The branches of the world tree were of a reasonable size and had a reasonable weight. It wasn't something my poor arms could withstand the movement of carrying it around. The muscles in my arms quivered as I plodded along. I might be at my limit soon. Wait, stop for a minute. I stop and gently place a branch of the world tree on the aisle. Careful, careful, I was about to put it down roughly. I rub my muscles laboriously. What's the matter, Abel? Maya also stops and looks back at me. I'm sorry, but it's heavy, so take it. What? Yes. I don't mind that much, but, Maya looked dumbfounded for a moment, but she quickly agreed to it. It's shameful, but it can't be helped. Forgive me, I don't have the strength. And two people who looked like a couple were watching our exchange with stunned faces. Suddenly, I calmly reviewed my actions. I bought a thing from my own hobby with the money I borrowed from others, and even with the reason because it was too heavy, I let the person who lent it to me have it. And to a woman who, on average, would be inferior to a man in terms of muscle strength. If I'm not wrong, I think I'm a bit of a bastard. I met the eyes of the woman of the two people. The woman must be glaring at me with intensity in her eyes. The man took her by the shoulders, shot a glance at me, and then quickly moved away. As I thought I should carry it. No, but my arms are already bulging. Maybe I should do some muscle training for the first time in a while. Oh, what's the matter? Your hand, if you don't let go I can't carry it, you know. Oh, please. I hand the branch of the world tree to Maya. For now, let's get a good night's rest at an inn somewhere. We can start planning our money-making plans tomorrow. Yeah. It's been a while since I've walked through a busy place like this either, so maybe I'm starting to get a little people-sick. Look to your right or left and you'll see people. In some places, it's not possible to keep walking through such crowded places. There were crowds of people when I was selling the incense leaf, but I was the seller, not the one standing in line. There really are all kinds of people. Some wore heavy armor, some had big sickles, some wore masks. There was a short girl. Snappy, pointed ears. That's probably the Noirs. Matches the features I've seen in the books. They are a race that ends their lives in the form of children. They were said to be powerful and dexterous despite their appearance. There must be beast men in this world, too. I've seen this in books too. There are beast men who are covered with hair all over their bodies and half-beast men who only have ears, tails, and other features. I would like to see a beast man in the flesh just once. As I looked around to see where I could find one, a strong-looking man with rabbit ears walked past me. I pretended not to have seen anything. Finding an inn. We approached a man who seemed to be busy and gave us a brief guide to the way. You can find it if you go straight from here. There is a wizard shop with a prominent sign, across the street. Thank you very much. I bowed my head and left the man. Really, I'm relieved it's a nice person. A magician's shop. Let's take a look around. Across the street. It's probably similar to the shop in Chimera's Tale, but I'd like to take a look. There were a lot of shops that interested me, so I thought I'd start tomorrow, but since it's so close. But the money is only enough for the bare minimum of living. To begin with, it's Maya's money. I'll just look to see what is available. After taking a room at the inn and dropping off our luggage, we walked into the shop across the street. The owner of this shop was an old man with a white beard. The selection of goods is better than that of the previous store. It's kind of more consistent throughout. I pick up a bottle from the store. I look at the label and my eyes widen. This really has unicorn blood in it, right? Amazing, wow, amazing. It's more affordable than I thought. I shouted unintentionally. It is a high-grade paint made from the blood of unicorns. Unicorns are treated as phantom beasts. A phantom beast is a term that refers to a rare demonic beast with a small number of individuals. In short, they are rare monsters. Recently, we've been experiencing an outbreak of unicorn swarms. It's called the monster disaster, monster panic. There was so much commotion about it, but you don't know about it. Monster disaster, monster panic, a disaster in which a large number of the same kind of monsters occur. There are many theories as to the cause, but it is not known in detail. However, I didn't expect such a thing to happen to a unicorn, which has been designated as a phantom beast. Well, I don't know much about the world. Wow, good. This is so good. I'm glad you're so pleased. Now, the bill, no, I don't have any. Oh my goodness, that's a shame. I, too, find pleasure in this business to have people like my customers buy from me. The branches of the world tree were used to carve the totem. It is a man's heart that I want to use expensive paint anyway. It's regrettable. I bought a tree that cost millions of G's worth of wood, but I have no choice but to reduce the quality of the workmanship by sparing tens of thousands of G's worth of paint. Thump, tap on the shoulder. Abel. You want it? Maya calls out to me while holding the sachet of coins. No, but if we use it, starting tomorrow. Excuse me, can I have this paint, please? Maya will buy it. I'm jealous that you seem to be on good terms with them. Well, you're buying, I thought it was no good, but I couldn't speak. I had repeated the same mistake again. Chapter 54. 7th episode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After buying the paint safely, we went back to the inn. At the inn's dining room, we had a simple dinner of soup and bread. The soup was strangely thick but resembled corn soup. I had never seen corn on this side of the world before, but there seemed to be something similar. It could be something that wasn't similar, though. After walking into the room, I sat down on the bed. Maya dives right behind me where I sat. She lay down on the bed as it was. It was a smooth movement. I was going to make this my bed. Well, I can just concede the bed when it's time to sleep. Is bed really that rare for you? Yes, that's right. It was always Maya who sleep on the floor with just a cloth. I can't help but frown. She says it easily, but that's pretty nasty. I use my wind magic and cut off a piece of the world tree from its branch. I use a wood carving knife to shape it and then carve the magic formula. What are you doing, Abel? Maya doesn't raise her body but only looks up at me. The knife I carry was made to respond to the magical power of the trees around the Marin tribe's village. In order to make an ortem of the world tree, we need to rebuild it to fit the world tree. Of course, it's possible to carve a bit of shape like this, but carving an ortem like this, you will not have enough strength. Besides, ortem requires precision. We can't carve them by force. That's why I had to make it from a wood carving knife. The handle of the knife made from the world tree was ready. I started painting each of the parts one by one with high-grade paint. I took out the blade from the existing carving knife and incorporated it into the handle of the knife made from the world tree. Fasten the clasp to the hilt and fix it firmly in place. This completes the carving knife of the world tree. With this knife, I'll be able to cut trees with all kinds of magical powers. Because of the high magic power of the handle, it could be given various additional abilities. If I had carved this much magic formula into a mere tree, it would have been wrecked immediately. This alone should be treated as a very expensive magic tool. It's a bit of a shame that the key blade part is a cheap product that's available in the Marin tribal village. I gathered the wood shavings and threw it to the garbage can. Then I hold the branch of the world tree. Well, I'm going to go outside a little bit and carve an autumn. What? You don't need to do that today. You said you were going to get some rest. Maya picks herself up and hugs her pillow. You don't have any more money left for tomorrow's accommodation, do you? If we lower the rank of the inn, we'll be fine for another 2 days or so. Let's get a good night's rest and start working hard tomorrow. No, but, what did you get the inn for if you don't sleep? It's such a waste, see. As someone who is also being paid for lodging, it's hard to be told that. I pretend to lie down in bed, so I can sneakily brush off the blanket as I watch Maya fall asleep. I took a gulp of able drink and blew away my sleepiness. I walked out of the inn with the wood carving knife and the branch of the world tree. There was a large stone, so I sat there and carved the branch of the world tree. Every time I put the blade in, I feel a tremendous amount of magic. Is this the power of the world tree? It seems to be worth trying out various things. I stopped working for a while and went back to the room, grabbed a piece of paper and a quill, and went outside. I redrew the blueprints on the paper and laid out the candidates for the carving technique next to each other. As the sun was coming up, the autumn was finished. It was a piece of work made from the world tree, with generous use of high-grade paint. It's easy to operate and can be used to set up a wide variety of wards. It's a good example of an autumn that I've made in the up until now. In addition, I don't have to carry it around with me, I can teleport it to my hand at any time by using the magic circle. Normally, the teleportation magic consumes an enormous amount of magic power proportional to 1/3 power of distance. However, I discovered that the world tree seemed to have the power to reduce the consumption of the magic power of teleportation magic. It was worth the effort to try many things. I had read in a book that among the magical beasts that live around the world tree, there are those that can handle teleportation magic. Maybe it had something to do with the nature of the world tree. I went back to my room, holding the autumn in my arms. I took the key from my pocket and opened the door. Maya, Maya. Look at this. The world tree's autumn is complete. Oh, you're back. I knew you were out there. Maya says, relieved. No, I just woke up a bit earlier in the morning. Well, Maya was really surprised. When I woke up this morning, I couldn't find the world tree and the knife that Abel treasured. I thought you couldn't pay your debts and ran off into the night. I don't remember falling to that level of brute. Look at this autumn. A Marin would be drooling get this gem at his hand. Without a doubt, it's my best work ever. Maya don't really understand. But what is that for? It requires very precise control, but if you can control it, it can be used for anything. As long as you can give it the right instructions, it should be able to fight monsters. These wooden dolls are able to fight a magic beast. Yeah, it can avoid attacks and tackle them, or blow fire, or whatever, blowing fire. Wait, I just can't imagine, I'm using a good paint job, so there should be little to no more deterioration. All we have to do now is manage to eat our way through and slowly find a sorcerer who'll buy this, and we'll make some money. I stare at the autumn I hold in my hands. I have to let go of this ortem in order to make a living. I thought about selling it for a moment and then teleporting it to my hand, but as expected, that would be a bad idea. It makes me feel hot in my chest. It would be nice if it could at least be in the hands of someone who would take good care of it. I'm glad I didn't name it. The more you get attached to a person, the sadder you become when you say goodbye. If it's that hard, you don't have to let it go, don't you? It's not like Maya wants it back in a hurry, and it was Abel who said it to be in the form of a debt. I'm just happy to have this engraved. As long as it's used by someone who understands its value, and, any more is, there is not much effect if you say it with a face like that. I'm looking very grim, apparently. Now I think I can understand how parents feel when their daughter, whom they've been raising with great care, marries a man they don't know. Since you were able to use such amazing magic, I'm sure you have some way to make money. And let's put that down for now. You don't have to look so sad. Come on, please cheer up. I'm happy about what you feel, but if I take advantage of it now, I feel like I'm going to be dragging on this for the rest of my life. Please don't give me that thoughtful look. Chapter 55. 8 episode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the end, I couldn't make up my mind to sell off the World Tree Ortem, so Maya and I walked around the city and looked for a place that I could enter to earn some money. After asking around, I heard that there is a facility called the Adventurer Support Station that will buy the skins and horns of demonic beasts. If they can get money just by hunting monsters, they won't need any preparation or connections. I'm confident that as long as I can hit them hard with magic, I can do anything I want. If we're interested in it, I was told that I should just ask at the facility, so I decided I'm going to go there for now. If this is the case, it would have been better to collect the Garm's body as well. I thought that James would have known about it, but it was too late. Blurting it out wouldn't help. We quickly entered the Adventurer Support Center and lined up with Maya for the reception desk. The line was quite long. It seems to take quite a bit of time to process each and every one of them. Speaking of which, can Maya use magic or something? Maya doesn't carry a staff or a weapon with her. It might be better to leave her in the city when I go hunting demonic beasts. If you ask me if I'm good enough to fight demonic beasts. When Maya tried to use her magic, the people around her didn't look too good. I see, I jumped into a story that I shouldn't have stuck my neck in too much. A single piece of jewelry on the forehead is going to get you that much harassment. Move, you guys. Get out of the way. Master Gaston is coming through. As I waited in line, I heard a loud voice behind me. I turned around and saw a large man standing at the reception desk of the Adventurer Support Center. He had indigo hair and a thick beard. He was the type of person who couldn't tell the boundary between his frowns and his beard. In his right hand, he held the upper body of the demonic beast, and in his left hand, holds the lower half of the demonic beast and dangled it. A pair of crony-like people were attached to Gaston's left and right sides. It was probably one of them who had just shouted out loud. The three of them all seemed to be out of character. Even if it was the same threesome, Noswell and the others were still prettier. The trio walked parallel to the line and even moved to the front of our row. Gaston pushed the man at the front of the line out of the way and lined in as if nothing had happened. This is troubling. You'll have to get in line properly, get in line. Gaston said foolishly and put the magical beast in his hand on the floor. Then he turned around and grabbed the man in line behind him by the shoulders, bringing his face much closer to the man. Hey, were you in line? Or did you just stand there in a daze? It's clear as day that he was in line. You can't be serious about asking. He's threatening him, you, Well, stop whispering. Speak up. Gaston says as he barks. The man shrugs and replies, I just happen to be standing there. You do not stand in a confusing place, you dimwit. Then Gaston pushes the man's shoulder vigorously. The man slams his back against the wall and then stands up, woken up by the people around him. The two cronies were giggling and laughing. Well, there really is a typical thug like that, isn't there? The receptionist and Gaston had been pushing and shoving each other for a while. He wouldn't listen to a bit to that kind of handiwork, he must have a strong sense of justice. Even if they succeeded in turning him away here, it was obvious that he would have an unnecessary tailspin later on. I hope the receptionist doesn't cause any recriminations. In the end, the other staff members admonished it and let it pass reluctantly. If the impossibility passes, the reasoning retracts. It was the same in the previous life, but perhaps it was more pronounced in this world where the laws were lax. From the beginning, this is a place where people who seem to make a living killing magical beasts gather. Security must not be very good. They're disgusting people. We have to make sure we don't get targeted. It wasn't a pleasant sight to watch, so I thought about beating him up with magic, but I restrained myself. If I mess up, he could conceivably come back later with his friends to harass us. If that happens, it will be a problem for Maya. I shouldn't get involved. When Gaston and the others finished their business, they laughed loudly and walked out. But when I see that kind of inexplicable thing, I feel like I'm going to get involved somewhere in the near future. I'm worried. I'd like to think I'm just reading too many comics. After waiting for about 30 minutes, it was finally my turn and Maya's. I'm sorry for my failure earlier. As soon as they met face to face, the receptionist bowed his head. This person has been doing this to all of us since a while ago. He must be a newcomer. If you're that uptight, you'll collapse from heartache. No, I was just watching in silence myself, so it's painful to be apologized to like that. I think you just have to think of that kind of thing as a disaster and forget about it as quickly as possible. It would be tricky if they ate it up poorly and remember your face. Actually, I only just arrived in town here a few days ago, so can I start by learning about the facility? Are you from a place without an adventurer support center? Yes, I and this girl grew up in a rural area. Well, so let me explain. Well, where do I begin? The receptionist waddled over and pulled out a black book. It was thin but large. Looks like a manual. Maybe he's a newcomer after all. According to the receptionist's explanation, the main purpose of the Adventurer Support Center is to exterminate magical beasts, support adventurers, and to discover talented people. The extermination of demonic beasts is the duty of lords, and in order to do this efficiently, most cities have an adventurer support center. Some lords have set up their own private armies to exterminate them, but that's too costly, and they're not likely able to respond to a sudden magical beast disaster monster panic. It's doing so by buying monster pelts, tusks, meat, horns, etc. at a steady value. They are trying to get them to actively hunt and reduce their numbers, is apparently their aim. They try to use them as much as possible, but if they can't keep them all, they will dispose of them. In addition, they also support adventurers by helping to recruit friends on the board and publishing a newspaper to provide the minimum amount of information. I've heard that they are trying various ways even if it's plain. I heard that they don't make a middleman for requests such as escorting or finding pets. It is said that there are often times when you write on a bulletin board to recruit collaborators and then negotiate with individuals on your own, but the Adventurer Support Center is basically no touching. Probably, there are many cases of conflict between the client and the adventurer. I didn't want it this way, it's my fault for not telling them first. It would be unbearable for the staff to stand in between such arguments every day. In order to receive assistance from the Adventurer Support Center, one must register their name and magic crest as an adventurer. But this is not a bad thing for adventurers. The achievements of adventurers are managed by the institution. You will start out as an F.level adventurer, but someone from the institution will judge you based on your achievements and they promote adventurers who meet the specific requirements. The advantages of adventurers getting a higher rank are many. Each time they move up in rank, they are issued a certificate, which they can show elsewhere as a guarantee of strength. In order to keep more high-ranking adventurers in town, they have many opportunities to get preferential treatment in the form of support. As a high-ranking adventurer, access to dangerous areas and even possession of dangerous creatures is a matter of course in some cases. And above all, if you reach C.level or above, you will be named by a nobleman and have the opportunity to be called upon. This is the last of the three main purposes of the Adventurer Support Center, to find talent. I don't see it as an advantage for me, as I'm sure I'd be restricted, but that's the reason why many adventurers are desperately trying to raise their rank. Well, it's like a full-time job from a freelancer. And that's it, that's all for the basic explanation. Are you okay? Yes, I understand very well. So, for now, can you register me in Maya and get me a certificate? And I think I should buy a map of the area and a newspaper. I glanced sideways at Maya. Yes, I'll let Abel take care of it. Why are you asking me, Maya, you say? But it's Maya who is paying for it. If you're going to buy something that you don't need, it's reasonable to ask her permission. I don't think it's too late to do that. The newspaper has a daily changing list of demonic beasts to redeem, sightings of demonic beasts, recommended hunting grounds, adventurers columns, and they've got adventurer rank fluctuations, a little rumor, and everything from discount coupons for food shops to a 4-panel comic strip. We're in a position that needs as much information as we can. It can't hurt to buy it. I understand. Well then, I will give you 2 certificates for the registration for 2,400 G, a map for 500 G, a newspaper for 600 G, for a total of 3,500 G. Hearing the receptionist's voice, Maya quickly stepped forward. Maya took out a coin from the bag and handed it to the receptionist with a natural movement. Isn't it getting normal for me to ask for money? Maya, sorry. For what? It seems like it's becoming normal for Maya too to lend me money. This shouldn't be. I punched myself lightly on the cheek to punish myself and brace myself. Maya wasn't looking at me, but the receptionist was looking at me with a, what the hell is this guy, kind of look. Well then, here's the map and newspaper. I'll give you a number tag, so if this number is called, please move over there. You will collect the magic crests there. A magical crest is like a magical trait. It doesn't measure the person's magic power, it is simply a personal identification technology. It's like a fingerprint of magic power. I receive the number tag and leave the receptionist. This place looks like a government office from my previous life. Chapter 56. 9th episode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I successfully registered my magic crest and had my adventurer certificate issued. The adventurer certificate was just a small card with the name of the registrant, the adventurer's rank, and the date of registration. Apparently, if you flow the same magic power as the registered magic crest, it will glow, and this will confirm your identity. I flick my fingers lightly on my adventurer certificate. There doesn't seem to be any complicated technique in place. It would be easy to fake with a little disassembly and examination. However, the Support Center for Adventurers also keeps a copy of the reserve, so it's easy to find out if you're going to do anything without permission, because I've heard that forging an adventurer certificate is a pretty serious offense and will get you thrown in jail, but I'm not going to do that. But I'd like to make at least one piece out of curiosity. If you burn it right after you make it, you won't be caught. Abel. Why did you register under a different name? It seems that it was alright, it was a sudden impulse. My adventurer's certificate was firmly inscribed Yamasan Mountain on it. The process itself was easy, and there was no complicated identification. They didn't say anything in particular, not necessarily under my real name either. There's nothing wrong with that, probably. Isn't that going to be a bit of a pain in the ass later on? It's okay. It's okay. You don't get to put it out in public that often. At best, the lady at the reception desk thinks my name is Mr. Mountain. Well, it's fine, but, it's kind of a weird name. When I am told this and that, I wonder if I am being rash. If you think about it, if I make an achievement, the name of Mr. Mountain will spread among the nobility. That sounds interesting, but it certainly does seem like it's going to lead to a mess or not. Well, I don't intend to become a sorcerer for the nobility, so it's okay. As long as I can pay off the debt and not have to live with it, that's fine. I'm not going to raise my rankings that much either. When you hear the word aristocrat, you get the image of arrogance, selfishness, stingy, boredom, and dorkiness. They're going to be laughing like, gee hee hee heh heh heh. I'm completely prejudiced. It's my benefactor's name, Mr. Mountain. Is that so? I was once rescued from a magic beast who was beating me to a pulp. From a magic beast who would beat Abel to a pulp. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd be dead as it was. In an instant, he burned down all the demonic beasts around me and restored me to full health as I was dying. However, it's in an online game. So he's a great magician, he is the person I respect most in the world, no, in every dimension. Mr. Mountain is from a different world, so a world frame is not enough. Mr. Mountain is great. Is that so? So you thought you'd borrow his name? It makes sense to me. It was honestly just a prank, but let's keep it quiet. I had an unusual surname in a previous life, and I was hesitant to use my real name in this situation. As I recall, I used to borrow Mr. Mountain's name in those days as well. I thought it was a habit I had long since left, but I didn't expect it to show its face now. I even thought it would be better to re-register with my real name Abel for later, but the magic crests has been enforced so I can't do that either. Was the magic crest to avoid duplicate registrations? Well, let's keep it that way. And it's getting a little fun. Let's work hard every day to make Mr. Mountain the most famous magician in the world. Is this Mr. Mountain from the Marin tribe as well? It's kind of a funny name now. I've not been out of the village until now, and I guess it's more natural to say that he's a Marin. Well, that's how it is. I see. As I thought, the Marins are all very strong. Maya was innocently impressed. We moved to the rest area of the Adventurer Support Center to plan for the future. I opened the map to a desk full of maps and compare it to the information in the newspaper to find an affordable hunting ground. According to the newspaper, the forest north of the city of Lamern is full of F.class and E.class demonic beasts, and they say it's an affordable hunting ground for newcomers. But we just recently had a unicorn magic beast disaster monster panic, so the mid-level adventurers are trying to focus on the ones that survived. The more money makers they get together, the more likely they are to get into trouble. It said that it was best for newcomers to avoid it for a while. Other than that, abandoned castle Eltonina, this one looks affordable. Apparently, Eltonina, the abandoned castle, isn't just a ruin, it's treated as a dungeon. A dungeon is a place where demons live in caves and old buildings, and where peculiar magic beasts are more likely to occur. From the dungeon, you can get a lot of magic stones that are excellent as components for magic tools or as a source of energy. You might even find some expensive magical stones that don't even appear on the market very often. I would love to go. However, it would take 4 days to get to the abandoned castle of Eltonina and going back. We have to hire people and a carriage. Financially tight. And as a person who is dependent on Maya for my finances, I want to take less costly measures. Abel, do you want to go there? As I was crumpling up the newspaper and wrinkling it, Maya peeked out from behind me. Whoops. I quickly hide the newspaper behind my back. She was in front of me just a moment ago, before I know it she's already behind me. I was so focused on it that I didn't notice it. No, we're going somewhere else. You don't have to worry if it's about money. If it comes down to it, you can sell the Maya's horn for some value. Because that's what I've heard when it comes to making magic tools. We'll find another place. What are you going to do with the stone on your forehead, followed by the horn? It's not funny to make a joke out of it. You're not serious, right? Indeed. But the cost of travel is a problem. If it goes poorly, you could lose money after expenses. You have to plan it carefully and then move on. The closest is the forest. Here, you won't have to pay for transportation. However, we'll have to be prepared to take on some nasty challenges with other adventurers, though. Chapter 57. 10th Episode. Zesham Ruins, 1, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Maya and I were discussing the hunting grounds of the magical beasts. That I was just about to form an opinion that the forest was the way to go after all when I heard an angry voice from the next table. I turned my attention to the voice. I've told you repeatedly that this is the place to be. Why can't you listen to me? The leader hits the table with a bang and the blonde man stands up. He wears leather armor. He seems to be the same age as me and Maya. Apparently, they are in a dispute over the selection of a hunting ground. It might help us decide on a destination. I'll have a look for a second. I'm a semi-E. class adventurer. How old are you guys? You're both F. class. You should just shut up and follow me. If you can't do it, leave. Leave. Don't you ever come in front of me again. Sitting in front of the blonde are two men and a woman. All three of them wear similar armor. The details are different, but the materials are the same. So they are F. rated and the blonde is semi-E. class. It seems like a 50-step process, but is it that different? The man stands up and bows his head. Seeing this, the blonde crossed her arms and gave a small shake of his head. Ha! You should have done that from the beginning. Well, it's all right if you understand. Sorry, Mai-zen. I'm going to have to leave the party. Oh, hey. What? I've been thinking about it. Mai-zen, you and I don't think the same. Relax. Okay, I feel like I've said too much either. I'm sorry. Okay. There, I apologized now. So let's start the talk from the start. After all, my instincts as a semi-E. class adventurer are telling me it's better this way. The woman, too, sat up vigorously. If Tita's out, I'm also out. Wait. Can we sit down? Can we sit down for a minute? I'll sit down, so let's all sit down. Here, all right, let's all sit down at the same time. I'll count to 3. No betrayal. Okay, 1. 2. Lisa, you don't have to leave too, no. I've always been in love with Tita. Let me follow you. Lisa, Wait, both of you calm down for now. That wasn't the way it was supposed to go, was it? Lisa, I like it too. Tita. Leaving the blonde behind, they shared a passionate embrace. They continued to hold hands and walked away. Hey, wait. I mean, I like you too. Wait. Hey. You're forgetting about me, do you? Hey, I said hey. The blonde reached for their backs but crumpled to the ground with a gut-wrenching crash when they were out of sight. He put all 4 limbs on the floor and spilled tears. Why, I thought it would help us decide where to hunt, but it didn't. The others who had been watching the 3 of them interact awkwardly quickly look away. I turned away in a hurry, too. Though I was a little late. That looks great, Maya, I adore that kind of thing. I hope those 2 will be happy. Maya was the only one with a blush on her cheeks as she turned her head in the direction the duo from earlier had left. I don't think that's what you should be focusing on. I put my hand on the edge of the desk and moved it a little to the left. Then I casually scrape her chair and moves away from the blonde's desk. Maya, you shouldn't look at it too much. Let's get the hell out of here. I say to Maya, keeping my voice low. Wait, you guys, weren't you wondering where you were going to go hunting earlier? I think I heard you talking about how you're in trouble because of lack of money or something like that. Suddenly, I was approached by the blonde from earlier. I readied my wand as quickly as I could. There were already no tears in the blonde's eyes, but a dismissive smile stuck to his face. The blonde looks at my wand and moves her head in a racy manner. So you're a sorcerer. Well, I've always wanted a sorcerer's comrade. I used to be a party leader myself, but I just got rid of the useless ones. Would you guys like to join my party? Does this blonde, by any chance, think that the commotion that was going on earlier is not being heard by the people around him? You were just eavesdropping on the hunting grounds we were talking about in normal tones. Sure, as a formality, this blonde might not be able to say that this blonde got rid of them, but it would be a pretty subtle decision. If you listen to me, I'm happy to lend you money for the trip. If you'll only listen to me. I turned to face Maya. Normally I would jump on this, but I think he's a bit of a thing in many ways. What do you want to do? It's good, isn't it? It's kind of sad to say no here. Well, that's one thing, but, I turn my head back to the blonde. Where do you think you're going? I'd like to hear that and then think about it. The ruins of Zesham. Zesham, oh, I think I read about it in a book. The elves live in the celestial land of Alfheim and do not come down of their own accord. The elves who exist on earth are those who have sinned and have been driven from the celestial land of Alfheim or their descendants. Nearly 2,000 years ago, due to religious conflicts caused hundreds of elves to fall to the ground. They built a fortress to counter the persecution of the Norks on the ground. Eventually, the elves, who were beginning to be accepted by the Norks, sealed off the functions of the fortress and left it. That is known after as the ruins of Zesham. Quoted in Bernays Bellman's book, Knowing the Elves, the Norks are the most numerous and uncharacteristic race. Most of the people in this city are also Norks. In short, the ruins of Zesham are a fortress that was abandoned after it was built but was no longer needed when it was completed. In the innermost part of the Zesham ruins is a large golem, which is said to still be guarding the elven treasure, the Arrow of God. According to the newspapers, there are no demons and it is not treated as a dungeon. There are some demonic beasts in their own right, but they're not much different from those woods. They are completely just ruins. 2,000 years later, the effects of the warding are still so strong that the door inside is almost impossible to open. It's also doubtful how correct history is. Elves have a long lifespan, but it's still 500 years. No one has any way of knowing what happened 4 generations ago. It's almost faded away. Why would you go to the ruins of Zesham? The distance is reasonable, and if you want to hunt demonic beasts, it's quicker to go to the forest. You heard me right. According to the information I've got, some of the wards have been lifted recently. However, when it was opened, a magical beast was inside of the ruins and the investigation has been stalled. If you cleverly slip in, then stealing the treasure is the plan. There should be some magic stones to maintain the wards, so it won't hurt. Oh. Somehow, it looks kind of awesome. Maya is kind of excited about this. Abel, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? It certainly seems like a pretty good target from what I've heard. I'm just curious why it hasn't been brought to light. Based on the fact that he had just said earlier, there must be some holes in it. I'm going to need to think about this some more. You just need to come in light as a baggage carrier and you'll be fine. There's no time to worry about it, the investigation should be going on even as we speak. If you guys don't want to, I'll find someone else. I'm sure there are plenty of kids who want to be in my party. I'm a semi-E.class adventurer after all. But we can't reimburse you for your travel expenses if we don't make it. I don't want to be stuck in debt again. Don't worry. If you follow me, you won't lose anything. In the unlikely event that the returns don't come in, I can at least take care of the travel expenses. If you say so much, then, in the end, they were pushed to the end and headed to the ruins of Zesham with the blonde man, Mai-Zen, as their leader. Magic stones are quite pricey if they are expensive. If you gather the numbers efficiently, you have a chance to get rich. Besides, if we really found the treasure, I could pay off the 2 million Gs of debt in a heartbeat. It's also great to hear from senior adventurers along the way. He had called out the rank many times, so I'm sure the semi-E class must be pretty awesome. I'm sure it will teach you some useful things about being an adventurer. Chapter 58. 11th episode. Zesham Ruins, 2, you are listening at novelfull.audio. During the carriage ride, Maizen told us his adventures about this and that. The advantage is out there. We were in a circle of goblins in a flash. So I stepped forward and said, "Hey, let's settle this, one-on-one, leader to leader." Whoa, whoa, whoa. I struggled to minister to him, fighting off the sleepiness. No, I wish I could show you how heroic I was back then. I think it would be pretty picturesque. I'm thinking that one day when I'm hired by a nobleman, I'll ask an artist to draw a recreation of that time. Oh, that's good. Goblins are a type of demonic beast. They are around 1 meter tall and have large pointed ears. It would be easy to understand that they are green goblins. They aren't strong, but they grow fast and have a high reproductive capacity. In addition, they are said to be strangely intelligent, cunning, and cruel. There are also said to be fearsome goblins that dig pits filled with manure. Because they are born in places where the magic field is greatly distorted, there is a high probability that demons are lurking in the vicinity of goblins. It is said that there are goblins that look like adorable little girls, known as gnomes, by the way. Both males and females have a girlish appearance and are said to have a propensity for wearing human clothing. They may look adorable on the outside, but they are of course cruel and inhumane inside. It is said that there is no end to the number of pedophiles who enter dungeons to get a glimpse of the gnomes, only to be beaten up by innocent, smiling goblins. It is said that they are a race born to catch humans off guard. Well, it's not that goblins can understand the language, but all 3 of us were beaten up by them. I tactfully threw the food far away and managed to escape with my life. How is it? Amazing, right? You can't be like me just by being strong. Adventurers have to be clever. If you don't think about it, you're just a limb, but if you're like me, people rely on you. I see. That's awesome, that's for sure. In more ways than one. Right. He's talking in a cocky way, but was that bravery? It seems more like a failure of sorts. I rub my sleepy eyes and lightly poke Maya, who is sleeping soundly next to me, with my elbow to wake her up. What's wrong? Hey, let's hear it for a change. Maizen is all like an investor after all. I keep my voice low and whisper that to Maya. But this guy's story is all about bragging and bragging, so it's not very interesting at all. That was a mistake. Are you sure? Yeah, it's true. At least I'm not lying. What are you whispering about? I feel lonely because I'm missing out. And no, I'm just hoping that the search for the ruins will be a success. Haha. That's it. I'm here for you, don't worry. As for me, the more Maizen talks, the more anxious I get. I thought I was going to play the game, hoping to make a huge profit all at once, but was it too soon? Maizen's narrative continued late into the night. How can he talk so fluently? Maybe it's because I showed that I was willing to listen, or maybe it's because Maya doesn't care if I fall asleep or not, but when I do, she shakes me by the shoulders to wake me up. Was Maya's attitude the right thing to do? I'm grateful for the fact that she's going to be doing the night watch all the time. As long as you don't involve me in it. Speaking of which, Abel. Why did you decide to become an adventurer? No, it seemed like a quick way to make money without credit, maybe that's why the majority of the Adventurer Support Center was there. To tell you the truth, I was rescued by an adventurer once. I've always been a bit of a reckless person. My father had carved a wooden sword for my birthday, and I went all alone near a den of monsters. Just when I thought it was all over, an adventurer came along and quickly slayed the magic beast. That's when I decided to become an adventurer who fights with the same sword as he did. It was a decent reason. It's kind of frustrating. I mean, you're the one who brought this up for me to talk about. I got quite a few bite marks from the bite then. My parents asked me if I wanted to get a specialist to remove them with magic when that guy helped me out. I've decided to keep it that way so I don't forget that. I kind of like that. Where are those scars? It's hard to show because of the location. Or maybe it's embarrassing. If you really want to see it, well, I don't mind, Maizen says and puts his hand on the belt of his trousers. I'm okay. As I thought I'm good. Really, why does this guy look a little disappointed? But at first I thought he was a tough guy for a lot of reasons, but after talking to him, he doesn't seem to be a bad guy. But it's still a bit of a tough guy. Yeah, Abel is a nice guy. As soon as I'm talking, people start talking and try to shut me down. I haven't talked this hard in a long time. He doesn't sound like a bad guy. I'll announce to them to accept you guys as my subordinate when I eventually rise through the ranks. As a favor as the leader. Thanks, I'll look forward to it. I thought I heard a noise in the distance. Just now, isn't that a magic beast that I say and look at the direction of the sound? What's new? Just in time to show you my semi-class adventurer swordsmanship. You can take a good look at it and use it as a reference. Don't miss your every move. Think carefully about what your intentions are in every move. That's how I came to be so strong. Hey, maybe we should at least wait and see if we can see. Maizen jumped off the carriage, drew his sword, and ran towards the sound. Bayo. Emerging from behind a rock was a large, brown, furred dog. This appearance, probably a hound. A subspecies of the Garm I had defeated last time. As I recall, James was not that wary of hounds. Even he might have been able to manage it. It shouldn't be that strong of a magic beast. It would be fine to keep an eye on it. Ya. Taya. You shall be the rust of my sword. The hound ducks his sword and pounces on Maizen just in time. Is it okay? Isn't he pretty much cornered? No, but he was so confident. Damn, you're doing pretty well, I'm going to recognize you as my rival. Maizen lowered his sword and breathed on his shoulder as his arms tired from the weight of the sword. At that moment, the hound pounced on Maizen. Bayo. Nothing was okay. I quickly raised my wand and pointed at the hound. Ajia. Mason screams and raises his sword. It was well countered and the tip of the sword sliced through the hound's throat. How's that? That's about it. I deliberately showed them an opening and let them jump on me. Mason put the tip of his sword to the ground while breathing hard and said that while looking at me. Wasn't he shouting in the bare minimum now? I don't believe it was an act. It's not easy to scream like that. Nice fight. Leader. Hahaha, as a semi-class adventurer, this is about as low as a lowly magic beast can get. Hold on, I'm going to take them of their fangs and pelts. The receptionist used to compliment me on how good I was at skinning. Bayo. 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 3 hounds ran over to Maizen. They are all angry. They are probably the companions of the hound that I just defeated. Yoo-woo. He threw out his sword and Maizen ran towards us. Wake the driver up and run. I'll draw these guys away from me, and I'll take advantage of the opportunity. Isn't what you're saying and what you're doing different at all? Maizen took a big tumble. Hi-thi-thri. I point my wand at the hounds. 3 magic circles emerge. Flame, form the ball, fireballs were shot out of each magic circle and shot through the hound's head. 3 hounds collapsed on the spot. Oi, are you alright? Maizen fearfully raised his head and looked around. That just now, what? Maizen stopped looking when he saw me that I was holding my wand. His eyes were on point. Yeah, thanks for saving me. Thank you, he said that as he shook it off. Leader position, do you want to take over? He continued. No, I don't care who the leader is. If you want to do it, do what you want. Chapter 59. 12th episode. Zesham Ruins, 3, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Finally, we arrived at the ruins of Zesham. Several carriages of the adventurers who came before us were parked there. My first impression of Zesham's ruins is that it is a huge stone fort. Several techniques are etched at the walls. It is quite advanced. It's mainly a sealing type of magic. The book says that the elves who descended to the ground sealed the function of Zesham's ruins as a fortress when they reconciled with the Nork tribe. It was probably the magic formula that was applied at that time. The magic method used is old and one can feel the difference in time. Even those that can be easily reproduced nowadays have been assembled with a lot of effort. However, even this becomes a reference. Depending on the application, the possibilities are endlessly expanding. As for me, it was worth it just to see that. It's a fantastic ruin. I'm really glad that it was worth it what I came for. Thank you for bringing me here, thank you very much. I tap Mai Zen on the shoulder as I say it. Maya is also glad to see that Abel is happy. Well, did you get to keep the travel expenses? Hey, wait a minute, you guys. Don't tell me you're going to give up on me. That's the trouble with adventure. Are you guys going to throw yourselves in front of the rampaging fawn? No. It's better to go home quietly now. I pointed towards the ruins of Zesham. 5 men stood at the entrance to the ruins. They were all dressed in the exact same design, with white embroidery on blue cloth. We are my lord's survey party. Currently, access to the ruins of Zesham is forbidden without the lord's permission. Now get the hell out of here. If you are too persistent, I will refrain from being myself. My lord is an investor in the Adventurer Support Center, you know. Even you fools know what this means. In front of the 5 people who call themselves a survey team, a gathering of about 30 people has formed in front of them. These are probably adventurers who came to explore the ruins of Zesham, just like me. All of them seem to be of bad people. A woman with rags wrapped around her body, a half-naked man, and one wearing heavy armor that looks like it's on the verge of breaking. Shut up. Let me through. You could have come through by force, this one. Money. At least give me the money. And then I'll back off. Compared to the 5 men who were well-groomed and well-faced, the 30 raggedy men were in severe contrast. They continued to shout vulgar words. The corresponding group of 5 people was also visibly in a bad mood. Don't look down on me like a wimpy little boy. Didn't they let you sleep with a faggot lord to serve him? Ah. That's a good status, you male whores. You people. I will not tolerate any outbursts against my lord. Oh. Am I right? Did you get mad at me for being right? I'll beat you to death. Calm down, Alan. My lord knows that these type of people will come out. It was getting more and more barrenly contentious. If you look closely, you can see that Gaston is there, too. He's in front of me, raising his arms in the air, playing onlookers. Hey, let's go home, Mai Zen. I don't want to get mixed up in that. Maya also, I now understand why the Adventurer Support Center hadn't released information about the ruins. The Lord must have spit on it and proceeded with the investigation. That's just the way it goes. It's low risk, high return. You're in a position to have a monopoly, but you're incompetent not to. They say there are no good stories in the world, but I guess that's what happens when the powers take it all away. I wish they had made a bigger statement and made it clearer saying, don't come, but maybe that would only increase the number of people who thought they might be able to pick up the slack. I doubt it's all right. Because when something similar happened before, the rootless lords folded. We'll watch the proceedings from the back and mix in when we feel the conversation is about to move. That's not what I was expecting from an adventurer. Look, when things get rough, you can join the riot and stop the adventurers. If you can stand out there, you might even be able to successfully take you in. I know a few adventurers who ended up working for their lordship in a similar fashion. It's not the same. Look, I'm the leader. You said you wanted me to be the leader. Wait, don't leave. All right. The second half of the day, let's stick here. Other adventurers had begun to leave in droves. About 5 groups of adventurers have already turned back the way they came after we arrived. I think it's time for us to go home. Listen to me. I'll keep yelling at you day and night. If they're tired, their judgment will be impaired. Gaston inspires the other adventurers. Barren. Horribly barren. I really wish the lords would withhold his name and pluck them out of the city. But, we're in a situation that we stayed because of that. I want to go home. It's needlessly cunning that they don't resort to violence after making so many threats. As long as it doesn't become a violent incident, it won't be the problem, I pointed out. There's an atmosphere that a big scuffle will happen if either one made a momentum to make a move. Hey, get those people watching from there to join in, you coward. Do you want to take advantage of this? I'm telling you, you've got a rotten bone in your body. If you won't do anything, go home. I'd like that too. There are many other adventurers besides us who are watching from a step back. They all watched the adventurers and the Lord's survey team from the carriage as if they were cages in a zoo. Whether or not we're going back, we should also go back to the carriage for a while. I'm tired of standing there. At that rate, it looks like there won't be any progress for a while. Chapter 60. 13th episode. Zesham Ruin, 4, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Then, Maya will take this out. Red Devil Child, and Staff 1. That's the end of the line. Okay, I'll give you Sword 11. When we returned to the carriage, we were performing a 7-row lineup with the Marin Oracle cards. This Oracle note, though, was something I had remade to look like the cards. Unlike the playing cards, the Oracle cards didn't have any markings, so I added symbols for swords, wands, chalices, and coins. These marks represent knights, sorcerers, clerics, and merchants in this world, and they often come in sets of 4. The 4 major powers that are located under the nobility, if you will. I appropriated this to match the Oracle tag. The reason I made this mark is simply because it was pervasive and easy to understand. There was no particular meaning to it beyond that. However, even though I had made it, I couldn't show it in public without a good deal of effort, because I would be scolded for playing with the Oracle tag within the Marin tribe. I once made a similar one, but my father burned it because of my previous offense. Shibi didn't look too good about with Oracle cards either. That's why I and Giselle were always playing together in the village, but it's still different when it's just the 4 of us and the 2 of us. It somehow reminds me of my previous life. By the way, I would be able to use telekinesis on the Oracle tag, but of course, I didn't do that. Pass. Hey, why is the Holy Grail only completely stopped? Is this kind of thing that happens often? Hey, Abel. Oh, and I'll take a pass too. She's Elia, the one I hired to pilot the carriage. She's probably around 20 years old. She's cool and quiet, but her conversation entry rate has been subtly increasing in the last 2 days. I invited her to play cards, thinking she probably wouldn't come on board, but after a short pause, she announced his participation. My zen became sticky in 4 passes, and then the Elia steadily filled the chalice line. Maya was first, I was second, and Elia was third. Elia's 3 passes in the middle of the field echoed, leaving me and Maya behind. Wait a minute, Elia. I could have made the chalices, but didn't you pass? When Maizen asked with a tremor in his voice, Elia pouted and looked away. She had a slightly happy expression on her face. Isn't this girl enjoying himself the most, after all? I know I'd certainly be happy to see a successful blockade in the 7th lineup. Honestly, it feels better than taking the top spot if you can get a clean hit. Playing a harassing extreme swing and throwing away a victory are often hated, so I'd like it if Elia.san who looked like have few friends tow a little careful. Right. Because. This time I hold it like this. Look, it's crazy, it's absolutely crazy. See, if I'd take this out, I'd be in 2nd place. Abel, is this available according to the rules? Hey. Especially when you take on someone who hates to lose like that. The more Maizen called out, the more Elia hit her face and looked happy. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Let's add a clown in place of a joker next time and take measures against the blockade. One more time. If that's the way it works, I have an idea. Abel, cut the oracle bill. In case you're wondering, I'm the only one who can shuffle the oracle cards at the moment. I don't think everyone else is that clumsy, but that's probably because they have no experience shuffling a bunch of cards. It's all a matter of getting used to it. I glance at the entrance to the Zesham ruins. Everyone seemed to have given up, and the number of adventurers had completely dwindled. Gaston, who used to scream so vigorously, is no longer there either. The adventurers who stayed on the sides on their carriages, excluding our part, 3 are in place. It's time for us to go home. This is overdoing it anymore. Again. Just one more time is all it takes. No, it's already been half a day. Wouldn't it be better to do it on the way home? That would take Elia out of it. Besides, it's not even dusk yet, we won't be able to move much longer anyway, so we'll just rest today and just go home slowly tomorrow. But that would add a day to your days. That's how much it will cost you to move, I'll take care of it. How much do you want to win? Oh, there's someone coming out of the ruins. Hearing Maya's words, I turned my attention to the ruins. A tall old man is about to come out of the ruins. After that, several number of investigation troops like people rush out to pursue. Please wait for me, Ebelhade.Dono. Then the little fat man comes out. I'm not talking to you. I was told you are the most knowledgeable about magic in Lamern, but you keep dragging me down. Don't make me laugh. This is why I hate the Norks. Your failure to do so is a blot on the Lord's name, Wagoner. The price of making me waste my time on this is going to be high. Why, you're saying this Wagoner is slowing you down. A tall, haughty old man. Apparently his name is Ebelhade. His ears are high and his skin is lightly pigmented. And that distinctive, fearless face. There is no doubt about it, Ebelhade is an elf. Elves have a long lifespan. And yet, if he's that old looking, he must be over 400 years old by now. I shall ask you to take that back. Lamern's most eminent scholar, for your contempt for this Wagoner. Surely this time I haven't gotten the results I deserve yet. My prepared hypothesis is off. But you only have to look at the technique of those ruins to see that this is an inevitable outcome. You are not an amateur, so that being an advanced technique is, you are not to measure me with the likes of you. A fool like you is of no use to me. Not this time. I should have known better than to put my hopes in the hands of a Nork's intellect. They're a short-lived tribe that won't last 100 years after all. I still advise the Lord to start by recruiting men. You're fired. Wah. Tell them. This Wagoner has been in the service of his Lord longer than you have been in the service of his Lord. You just happened to get picked up by accident, what's the big deal? Ebelhade.Sama and Wagoner.Sama, please calm down, please. Apparently, there's a dispute. It seems that the person in charge of unsealing the ruins has fallen out of favor, and the old elven man is asking for a temporary suspension of the investigation.